Okay, I'm back in Texas. The weather's nice, and I'm going to be doing some flint knapping in the shop. I just put down a nice clean cloth. Um, we have our guest who wants to be part of the video. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in the shop. Now, yesterday I made a blade of obsidian, and I didn't capture it on film because it was just a practice run. So today, in keeping with glass knapping videos, I'm going to do this natural nodule of obsidian. I don't know what kind it is. It's probably triple flow like this one, but I don't know. Yeah, this one will be for sale coming up on the next auction. Okay, so let's see. Okay, hopefully I got everything. Okay. Yeah, when I knap glass, I usually wear 2 gloves. And, okay. Last night, before I went to bed, I was watching some YouTube videos. And I was watching one by Anderson Lithics, Richard Anderson. And I think it was number 174. And he was knapping a piece of Keokuk, this kind of stuff, into a biface. And I was noticing some struggles he was having. But he did pretty good, right? But I'm going to go over what I think are some common procedural, maybe not errors, but procedural things that could be more efficient in reducing a nodule or whatever, or a spall into a biface. The number one rule is to, get rid of the thicker spots first. You attack the big areas first, then the ends, thin down the ends, and then go back and attack lumps, thin the ends down again, and then you do the final cosmetic flaking at the end. So big lumps first, then thin the ends as much as you can, and then whatever needs to be taken care of as far as lumps all over it, and then thin the ends some more, and then do your final flaking, cosmetic flaking. Cosmetic flaking is toward the end. So as long as you can damage control your mistakes in the beginning, you don't need to do nice flakes in the beginning. If you can do damage control later, you don't need to worry about having nice flakes in the beginning. Unless you want to capture some nice flakes for arrowheads and stuff. And you're looking specifically to use the flakes that you're detaching. Otherwise, I don't worry about the cosmetic aspect of the flint knapping in the beginning. When I'm reducing a nodule, I just look for the big areas first, or when I first start to get into a nodule, the opportunistic platforms, just to get into it, to start removing some material. Okay. 3 minutes of blah, 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 and not much knapping. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to be using the billet in this way and in this way. It's pretty well pitted, so let me take my glove off because I can't manipulate the camera. I can't do the focus thing. So just for this video, I'm going to not use that glove. See how it's really pitted? It should be smoother than that if you want to use the flat end to swipe. Same with the sides. Like when I gouge using the sides of this little billet, it should be smoother than this. Maybe not perfectly smooth, but you get the idea. If it's too pitted, it'll grab it a little bit too much. Or it'll be unpredictable as far as what it will grab. You'll have an unexpected little catch. Okay, so here we go. Aluminum billet, 1.5 inches. Everyone always asks me, what is the diameter? 1.5 inches. And Yeah, 4 inches. It's just straight off of eBay, 1.5 by 4 inches. I'm going to get a bigger one if I can remember. All right. So this looks good to me as a initial hit. This is the biggest area also, so that's good. There's a thick area there, so I'll be probably attacking that next, so we'll see. Okay. Obsidian is a whole different ball game than chert or any other material, so you don't need a lot of force. Actually, this looks like it might be dacite, which is okay. Everybody has trouble with dacite too. Now the procedural errors that I was watching Richard do are pretty common as far as new guys. But I'll get into that a little bit later. Right now I'm kind of using a swiping motion to get into it. You don't need a whole lot of force with dacite either, obsidian or dacite. This is kind of thin, so what I'm going to do is take that off, and that gives me a place I can hit into this big area. So the first priority is to hit off the biggest, chunkiest areas as a strategy for efficient nodule reduction. How's that? Okay. I'm going to show some efficient nodule reduction in theory, if I don't break this thing. Okay. All right, where's a thick spot? Now I could try to hit that. I would hit it like this with this top edge and not like this, because if I try to hit it like that, the bulb is probably going to go too high into the piece. So I want to gouge out just a flake to try to go across there. See, it's different. Gouging is different because you're hitting with a smaller area, and you're gouging it out like you would use a wood gouge. With a swiping technique, what you're doing is you're applying force in a slide. So somewhere during the slide, there's enough force inward and downward to detach the flake. It'll crack. It'll overcome the tensile strength, and it'll crack. And the slide, as the flake is coming off, the slide maintains contact with the platform, and it produces long flakes. With a gouge technique, it doesn't always produce long flakes because you have a bounce effect, and you also don't have much room to slide to stay in contact with the platform. But I don't think I want a big old flake or a lot of force, because it can curl up and then cut the whole thing in half just by a reverse hinge is what they call it. Okay, so I'm going to try to see if I can gouge out a little chunk across there. I want to sneak up on it because I don't want to hit it too hard. Yeah, I still hit it a little bit too hard inward, so it scooped it out. Now, when am I going to get into discussion of the reduction errors? I'll let you know. This is still too preliminary to get into the discussion of how to be a little bit more efficient with the biface reduction. Right now, it's nodule reduction. So I'll let you know when I'm getting into what is some efficiency techniques that can be used. Okay. Here we go. This is going to be a little bit of a slide here. Nice, perfect platform angle, I think. But I'm not going to take too many flakes off of here as a strategy, because I can see a lot of incipient cracks on the top. So I want to lose a lot of this area. I don't want to lose a lot of this area. This looks pretty good, right? This one doesn't. So as part of the strategy, I am going to take this big flake off so I can use it. Why take it off now? Because taking off large flakes that you can use is part of the initial process of reduction. If you try to take this big old flake off when it's already thin, you might break the whole thing in half. So right now I want to use this big old flake if I can get one for a future point. So I'm going to do it now, even though it'll be thinner when I'm trying to remove this area, but I'll take that chance. Okay, let's see. So a little bit harder than normal. Nice. The strike was a little bit harder than the other two strikes, or whatever they were. Just so I can get a long flake. The longer the flake, the more force you need. Unless you concentrate the force in a very small area. That's what indirect percussion helps you with. A lot of force in a small area. You can get long flakes without too much of a hassle, because it concentrates the force. Long flakes require a lot of force. That's just a general rule. Okay. I'm going to try for another one. Yeah. I might be able to make a little arrowhead out of that, but probably not. Okay. So I was hoping that would go further, but that's all right. I think I might be able to get another nice flake off of here before I tackle this side. No. That's just lack of inward force. It kind of bounced, I think. When it bounces or it doesn't maintain contact, it'll roll out. I think that's what a lot of guys are calling this. It's a rollout. Now, can you put the flake in there and strike it again? Yep. If you still have a platform. This one doesn't. So, but that is an option. If it still has a platform on the flake, you could put it back in and strike it again, and sometimes continue the flake. I think I might be able to capture all that area with a strike here. If I can just focus my thoughts. Took a very risky, very hard hit, but I got it. All right. So now I'm going to concentrate on this area here. So this looks pretty good here. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. Okay, so attack the chunky areas first. So which is chunkier? This end or this end? That's a hard one. Doesn't matter. They're both the same. But thin down. I'm going to thin down the ends first. I got rid of the major bulges in it, so it's pretty flat. I'm going to take down the ends before I start skinning off this surface. Sometimes I can get a good flake off the end. So at this stage, I'm going to try to capture this flake for a point, a future arrowhead. All right, so it was risky. I don't think I even captured a full flake. All right, it just kind of, let's see what happened. I think you follow some incipient cracks. In the material. Now, would it have been safer if I had left it thick? Yeah, to start skinning off that bad stuff. But in the beginning, I told you I was going to take a little bit of a chance there. We're going to continue with this anyway. These are usable pieces. That one's going to be tough, but let's see. I'll continue with this. I can still demonstrate the techniques for reducing bifaces with this size of nodule. All right, so I gotta see where is the potential largest or longest area. That's too risky because this is too thin. So probably this would be the length of the piece. All right. Chunky areas, the chunkiest areas first, if possible. I want to try to get in here to get the platform to go so I can strike this way. But that's not cooperating, so. Gouging strike. Yeah, these areas are not, they're a little bit too steep to be good platforms. I was tempted to hit that, but I'll probably snap the whole thing. Okay. Again, let's see, back to this little area right here. It's risky to try to catch that corner, but I'm going to try to catch the corner. Yeah. See, when I'm trying to skin off as much of this as I can, trying to leave this good material. Yeah, I can probably hit right there. Yeah. The biface reduction techniques will probably be in the next segment, because this first segment is turning out to be already 17 minutes and I haven't even gotten to the biface stage yet. Okay. I could either swipe it or gouge it. I'm having a little bit of more success with the gouging, so I'll do that. So I'm slowly whittling this down. I want to get rid of all these incipient cracks from the original surface of the material. Just opportunistic platforms at this stage. They're not even platforms, they're just opportunistic protrusions. A little bit of an overshot. Yeah, that did hurt because I took off. I don't like taking off width, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. Although I think I was trying to capture this length here. I lost some of the length. Okay. But I did clear off a good chunk of the incipient cracks. Now, why was it an overshot? The platform was really low. When the platforms are really low, or when the opportunistic protrusions are really low, the risk of overshot is greater than if it was a platform or opportunistic protrusion that was closer to center line. When it's down low, it tends to shoot further. So you gotta use less force. See if I can catch that and run that ridge without overshooting, because there's still a little bit of mess right in there. Didn't quite go all the way, so I think I can do a shot from this side. Something is happening there. That looks like a deep crack. We'll see. All right, now we're getting into some bifacial reduction. It's a biface now because all the surfaces, the surfaces on both sides are clear of cortex. So now biface reduction, thin the ends first. Don't worry about the middle too much, unless there's a mistake, of course. I need to see how far that crack goes in, the mistake in the material or a defect in the material. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like it's a remnant of an incipient bulb. It may not go too far. So yeah, that's kind of like a turtleback, right? You want to attack these thick areas first, right? That's the main strategy. Thick areas first. Get yourself down to something that looks flatter, and then thin the ends. Now, I was at this stage earlier with a much larger piece, so hopefully I won't make the same mistake again. I got a better feel for the material because I've been knapping it a little bit. I kind of know its brittleness, so got a little better feel. Hopefully it'll stay together and won't crack in half like before. So I just took off some of the weak areas so I can see where I can hit opportunistically. But right now I'm going to thin the ends down. Now I can do some cosmetic cleanup in the middle, but now I'm getting into the strategy of the biface reduction. What I saw in the video number 174 was that I saw some thick ends on the biface, and he was trying to run some cosmetic flakes in the middle, but that's not the most efficient way to do it. Get your ends thin first, so you don't run the risk of cracking the whole thing in half because your ends are really heavy and it'll bend. Right, bending forces are worse when the ends are heavy. So thin the ends down so you won't have so much of a bending force situation. Now this one, what I did was I just hit way above center line so I could get that angle so I can flip it over and strike off another flake in the other direction. Kind of like a zigzag. I'm going to zigzag this across that thick spot. And I noticed in the video not much zigzagging going on. Right? Zigzagging is your friend. Zigzag the edges. Hit this way, then use the flake scar to hit the other way, and use that other flake scar to hit the other way to thin the edges down. I didn't see very much of that going on, which is one of the things that will help you. Now that thick spot is gone. Now it's a matter of where do I see the finished piece being. Right now it's pretty round, right? So there isn't much by way of planning yet. So as in the process of reducing this to make it a little bit thinner, attacking the thick areas first, I might see a length emerge. I can kind of direct it in a certain direction. But yeah, attack the thick areas first on the ends without worrying too much about the cosmetics in the middle. See this, it's thick right here. It's going to do two things. It's going to thin down this. If I strike here, it's going to do two things. It's going to thin down this spot, but it's also going to do a little bit of cosmetic work on the surface here. See how it's all jaggedy there? Let's see. Not much force required for these strikes. Okay, so it thinned down this pretty good. It also did a little bit of a cosmetic flake removal. Now see, the next thick area is here. So always do the thick areas first. Even if you see a step fracture or something, like right here, temptation is to go for that step fracture to take it off, but look for the thick areas first. If you can do both at the same time, remove the step fracture and the thick area, then go ahead and do it. If not, just go after the thick area first. Why is that more efficient than going after the step fracture? Because trying to get a thick area off when it's already starting getting really thin, like it'll be thinner in the middle than it would be on the edge if I was to do a cosmetic flake across there. I really can't shoot a flake this way. This would be an ideal flake to go this way, but I have to come in this way. It's going to thin this down too much, and I haven't taken much off of here. If I strike there and here, so I have to take this mass off first and then strike into the middle. Yeah, some of you guys won't be able to do the billet work very far. You'll have to use indirect percussion for some of these strikes because you don't have much experience with the billet work. But try to do as much billet work as possible in the beginning and get good at it, and try to minimize the indirect percussion for the cosmetic flaking, unless you just have to use the indirect percussion to get rid of something you can't do it because you don't have any accuracy with your billet strikes. All right, so I see some curvature developing, so I have to attack the curvature. You take it from the ends. You attack the curvature from the ends and not from the middle. So this looks like it might be the longest direction here. I need to be careful about how I attack this curvature. I got to remove mass from here. Part of the efficiency is to remove curvature first before anything else, which is something I didn't see in the video. He wasn't trying to eliminate the curvature first. He was trying to run cosmetic flakes in the middle before removing any curvature. So right now I'm trying to remove the curvature or any that I see, plus thick areas on the ends. Once I'm satisfied with eliminating the thick areas on the ends or around the edges, then I'll start attacking the middle. So I need to remove mass from here. It's pretty flat up here. Okay, so next segment I'll be doing all the bifacing techniques I was hoping to discuss in this first segment. And hopefully it'll stay big enough so I can demonstrate everything I want to demonstrate. Okay, next segment.